Marriott Bonvoy is the official hotel partner of US Soccer. Join Marriott Bonvoy today to get closer to the game with exclusive perks, unforgettable experiences, and benefits that go beyond the pitch. Spring Hill Suites, part of Marriott Bonvoy, offers complimentary hot breakfast and spacious all-suite accommodations, perfect for the whole team, with room for up to 6 guests. Make your next getaway a win. Learn more at springhillsuites.marriott.com.
AI agents are everywhere, automating tasks and making decisions at machine speed. But agents make mistakes. Just one rogue agent can do big damage before you even notice. Rubrik Agent Cloud is the only platform that helps you monitor agents, set guardrails, and rewind mistakes, so you can unleash agents, not risk. Accelerate your AI transformation at Rubrik.com. That's RUBRIK.com.
And away we go. Episode 1222 of the Al Galdi podcast. It is Friday, December 19th, 2025. And in this lost season for the Washington Commanders, we can at least say this. A player on the team has won the Pepsi Zero Sugar Rookie of the Week award yet again. Running back Jacory Croskey-Merritt, our friend Bill, he on Thursday morning was named Pepsi Zero Sugar Rookie of the Week for Week 15 of the NFL's 2025 regular season. He also won the award for Weeks 1 and 5, and Commanders receiver and punt returner Jalen Lane, he won the award for Week 3. Commanders quarterback Jaden Daniels, he last season set a record for most Pepsi Rookie of the Week awards for a player in a season 11, and Commanders quarterback Mikey Sainristil, he won Pepsi Zero Sugar Rookie of the Week for Week 18 of the 2024 regular season. The Pepsi Rookie of the Week award started with the 2002 season. Our team has dominated that award since the start of last season. So hey, at least there's that. Hello and welcome to this Friday installment of the Al Galdi podcast. Happy Friday. Coming up on the show, in-depth preview of the 4-10 Commanders versus the 9-5 Philadelphia Eagles at Northwest Stadium on Saturday evening at 5 and Week 16 of the NFL's 2025 regular season. Next segment, a breakdown of notable Commanders players who are in and who are out for this game in terms of injury, and discussion of left tackle Laremy Tunsil, tackle/guard Brandon Coleman, running backs Chris Rodriguez Jr. and Jacory Croskey-Merritt, and edge defender Drake Jackson, off comments from head coach Dan Quinn. The following segment, my rhyming keys for the Commanders in this game against the Eagles: to do some good things, but lose, as we are in the midst of Operation Lose Out 2.0. OLO, as it is sometimes called, and I'll give you a prediction for the game. Also on the show, college football in-depth preview of number 12-seeded James Madison at number 5-seeded Oregon on Saturday night at 7:30 in the first round of the college football playoff, as I'll speak with Jack Fitzpatrick, co-host of the JMU Sports News Podcast and co-creator of the very popular X account at JMU Sports News. Jack's going to give us terrific perspective on the amazing rise of JMU football, its unique head coaching situation, whether JMU's long-term future might be in a Power 4 conference, and more. Also, I have a Goldilocks pick for the game. And on the show, we'll talk Washington Capitals and Washington Wizards. The Caps, they on Thursday night shut out the Toronto Maple Leafs 4-0 at Capital One Arena to get to 42 points in the NHL's 2025-2026 regular season, second most points in the Eastern Conference. The Wizards, they on Thursday night lost at the San Antonio Spurs 119-94 to fall to an NBA worst 4-21 in the 2025-2026 regular season. Before we get to some feedback, the Washington Nationals, they on Thursday morning officially announced the hiring of Ani Colombi as general manager. He had been an assistant general manager with the Philadelphia Phillies since November 2021, had been running the Phillies analytics department. He previously was with the Tampa Bay Rays. He is just 31. From the press release from the Nats, quote, Colombi, 31, spent the previous 4 years with the Phillies as an assistant general manager. In his role, he oversaw the club's research and information departments, as well as the club's use of data through all aspects of their organizational decision-making process. He was also a key influence influence in pro evaluation and strategy, as well as other key areas across baseball operations. End quote. I am really excited about this hire. The Nats, with Paul Taboni as president of baseball operations, are going in on analytics and sports science like never before. This was so needed. This is very encouraging. You can hit me up on X at Al Galdi. You can email me the Al Galdi podcast at yahoo.com. Pushback on Operation Loseout 2.0 from Tom Poindexter on X, writes Tom. Ending the season on a 12-game losing streak would not have made the players or team feel better, and picks aren't guaranteed to be good, and a good GM shouldn't need a top 5 pick to improve the team, right? Thank you for that, Tom. From David Jackson on X, writes David, every week, the most important and best thing for the team is to win. Any other thinking is foolishness. Unless the team needs a quarterback, there's very little difference between the 5th and 10th picks. Thank you for that, David. Email from Eric Stork, writes Eric, hey Al, it has been some time since I emailed you, but that is not a reflection of my listening and loyalty to your terrific podcast. This is Eric Stork of Blade Runners Inc. and Weedman, although no longer of Blade Runner since I sold that this past June and am left with Weedman and some retirement time. I did have some thoughts on Operation Loseout. First of all, the signature song is a great listen. However, draft picks, schmaft picks. Our history is littered with high-round pick errors, and even the best of GMs make mistakes. The Broncos were decimated of draft picks with the Russell Wilson trade, and yet Denver seems to be doing fine. When raising and teaching my children the finer points of being a Redskins fan, I often told this anecdote. Given the choice between a decent season, playoff berth, and early round loss, or a 2-14 season with our only wins against the Cowboys knocking them out of the playoffs, that would be a tough choice. I would like nothing more than beating the Eagles and Cowboys over these last 3 games, shatter the Eagles' confidence, and knock the Cowboys out of playoff contention. This would spare all of the later comments about sweeps and division losses. In the words of the immortal Ken Beatrice, winners win. Thank you for the email, Eric. Good to hear from you. By the way, I was the last regular producer for Ken Beatrice in his radio career. In my early days at WTEM, I was the last regular producer for the legendary Ken Beatrice. I'm very proud of that. I am not here to tell anyone how to be a Commanders fan. We as fans of this team have been through so much. The last thing that we as a fan base need is some fans telling other fans what they should think or how they should feel. I can't stand when Commanders fans try to tell other Commanders fans what to think or how they should feel. There's been a lot of this with the name issue. I can't stand the lecturing and the scolding. People with the name issue should feel however they want to feel. People with how to approach the final games in a lost season for our team should feel however those people want to feel. This is a lost season for our team. I hate that is the case, but that is the case. And one of the great reveals of this lost season has been that this team is in dire need of more youth and better talent. And the most important player on the team, the QB1, Jaden Daniels, now is being shut down and is going to end up not playing in any of the team's final 4 games. So it's not like we can at least be rooting for him to do well over these final 3 games of the team's regular season. I am and always will be a Washington fan. I want what is best for our team. What is best for our team, in my opinion, given everything that I just outlined, is the team getting as high of a first-round pick in the 2026 NFL Draft as possible, primarily for the purpose of trading down with a quarterback-needy team and getting a haul of picks to replenish an inventory of draft picks that is severely depleted. I keep getting feedback along the lines of, hey, a good general manager shouldn't need a super high pick to find a good player, or hey, high draft picks guarantee nothing. Look at all of these failed picks by Washington over the years. I get that. I think we all get that. I think we all know this, okay? The idea here is a trade down. The idea here is, what is the best path for an infusion of youth and talent? And the answer is trading down with a quarterback-needy team and getting a haul of picks. Now, how realistic is that given the quarterback class in the 2026 NFL Draft? Well, that can be debated, but this is my thinking. the ideal scenario here, get a super high pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, trade down with a quarterback-needy team, and obtain a boatload of picks. That is the ideal scenario, and I want my team gunning for the ideal scenario. Now, if you want to root for the Commanders to beat their division rivals, go ahead. I get where you're coming from. If you want to root for the Commanders to win because, rooting for anything else is loser behavior, go ahead. Knock yourself out. But I would make 2 points. A, there's irony in the people who preach that rooting for anything other than wins is loser behavior, because actually, to me, those people are guilty of the loser behavior. Those people are guilty of the very thing that they're accusing me of engaging in, because rooting for empty, meaningless wins that serve little purpose late in a lost season and harm your team's draft positioning is rooting for that which is not best for your team. And that, to me, is loser behavior. B, there is zero evidence, that wins for an NFL team late in a lost season mean anything for the following season. There is no such thing as momentum carrying over from one season to the next. Anyone who says otherwise is wrong, and even players understand this. I really liked what Commanders receiver Terry McLaurin said during a post-practice session with reporters on Wednesday afternoon. We on Wednesday afternoon had this exchange between 7 News DC sports director Scott Abraham and McLaurin.
How important are these 3 games just to frankly build confidence, build momentum for the offseason for next year?
Yeah, I mean, on one hand, I do believe there is you want to finish strong. So I'll start with that. You want to finish strong. You want to finish the season, even though we're not making the playoffs. You want to finish this season with a sense of a pride, like we didn't lay down. You know what I mean? Even though that the season didn't go the way we wanted to, we finished the way that we can be proud of going into the offseason with a hunger that allows you to propel you into your work individually and as a team when we come back in the spring. I think on the other hand, just because you have a certain finish at the end of one season doesn't guarantee what's going to happen the next season. I think really starting from the ground up each and every year is extremely important as a person, as a team, as a coaching staff, everything, because each year is so different. But we have a unique opportunity to be able to finish these games in our division with a sense of some sense of accomplishment. The ultimate goal is out of reach, but doesn't mean we can't leave with something. So as Denzel Washington said in that meme, I'm leaving here with something. So we got to have that mentality that we're going to leave here with something. And I think we're really looking forward to it. And the great thing about it, we love coming in here as teammates and just playing the game that we love. This is a really unique locker room, and we're looking forward to the challenge.
Yeah, what Terry McLaurin said right there is 100% right. Momentum for an NFL team from one season to the next doesn't exist. Isn't a thing. Each NFL season is its own entity. The notion that momentum carries over from one season to the next is wrong, is fake news. I mean, save for the Eagles, did any team at the end of last season have more momentum than the Commanders had? Well, what good has that momentum done them this season, okay? When it comes to the Commanders' final 3 games of this regular season, I don't want the Commanders to not play hard. I don't want the Commanders to quit on their head coach, Dan Quinn. I do want the Commanders to do some good things. But my preferred outcome for each game, yes, is a loss. Because that, to me, is what is best for our team. I hate this Commander season so much. And so I am rooting for this season to provide some actual good for our team via resulting in a super high pick in the 2026 NFL Draft. And if you disagree, that's fine. I get where you're coming from, but this is what I'm thinking, and I know that this is what many of you are thinking. Operation Lose Out 2.0. Hit the music!
Operation Lose Out. Yeah, we're running it back. Did it once for JD5. Now we're back on track. Every Sunday feels like deja vu. Dropping L's on purpose. What else we gonna do? Take the snap, take the fall. Let the future make the call. Stack the picks, trust the route. It's version 2.0. Time to lose out. Time to lose out.
Exactly. Time to lose out. Cash App. It is the best way to make sure that your financial transactions are safe. You this holiday season can stay one step ahead of scams and keep your money secure with Cash App. Cash App's 24/7 fraud monitoring helps detect and alert you for unusual card activity should someone gain access to your card, so you can act fast if something seems off. You also can lock or unlock your Cash App card instantly right in the app for extra control and peace of mind. And if you're about to send money to someone for a deal that's too good to be true, and Cash App flags the deal as a potential scam, Cash App will warn you before you send the money. Cash App is here for you, and for a limited time only, new Cash App customers can use Cash App's exclusive code to earn some additional cash for real. Just download Cash App, use the exclusive referral code SECURE10 in your profile, send $5 to a friend within 14 days, and you'll get $10 dropped right into your account. Terms apply. That's money. That's Cash App. Cash App is a financial services platform, not a bank. Banking services provided by Cash App's bank partner or partners. Prepaid debit cards issued by Sutton Bank, member FDIC. Promotions provided by Cash App, a Block Inc. brand. Visit cash.app/legal/podcast for full disclosures.
Marriott Bonvoy is the official hotel partner of US Soccer. Join Marriott Bonvoy today to get closer to the game with exclusive perks, unforgettable experiences, and benefits that go beyond the pitch. Spring Hill Suites, part of Marriott Bonvoy, offers complimentary hot breakfast and spacious all-suite accommodations, perfect for the whole team, with room for up to 6 guests. Make your next getaway a win. Learn more at springhillsuites.marriott.com.
This is Michael Rosenbaum. Hey, folks, let me tell you that drinking and driving is a decision that will change your whole world. Things will never be the same once you get a DUI, because legal fees and time in court are just the beginning. Getting into a crash is another way your world could be irreversibly changed after drinking and driving. Your vehicle may not be the only thing that gets damaged in that crash. You could face a life-altering injury or even death. But you're not the only one who could face those consequences. Your decision to drink and drive could permanently change someone else's world, whether you injure them or leave their loved ones grieving. The next time you're out drinking, call a rideshare, a taxi, a sober friend, or a designated sober driver. Always plan for a safe ride home. The only decision that will change your world for the better is the decision to call for a sober ride. It's never worth it to drive drunk. Don't risk it. Drive sober or get pulled over. Paid for by NHTSA.
Week 16 of the NFL's 2025 regular season gives us the 4-10 Washington Commanders versus the 9-5 Philadelphia Eagles at Northwest Stadium on Saturday evening at 5. The final injury reports for the game came out on Thursday afternoon. 4 players for the Commanders were declared out for this game via the team's injury report on Thursday afternoon. Quarterback Jayden Daniels is out due to his injured left elbow, as he, of course, is being shut down for the rest of the season. Left tackle Laremy Tunsil is out due to the oblique injury that he suffered in the Commanders' 29-21 win at the New York Giants this past Sunday afternoon. Tight end Colson Yankoff is out due to an ankle injury that he suffered in the win at the Giants, and interior defensive lineman Eddie Goldman is out due to a concussion that he suffered in the win at the Giants. Cornerback Jonathan Jones is questionable due to the rib injury that had him inactive for the win at the Giants, and interior defensive lineman Johnny Newton is questionable due to illness. For the Eagles, right tackle Lane Johnson is out. He'll miss a 5th consecutive game due to a foot injury. Interior defensive lineman Jalen Carter is out. He'll miss a 3rd consecutive game due to injured shoulders. So the Commanders' offense for this game will be without the QB1, Jayden Daniels, the LT1, Laremy Tunsil, the WR3, Noah Brown, who is on the reserve/injured list, receiver and kickoff returner Luke McCaffrey, who is on the reserve/injured list, the TE1, Zach Ertz, who is on the reserve/injured list, and running back Austin Eckler, who is on, guess where, the reserve/injured list. And the Commanders in this game are facing one of the best defenses in the NFL. And that of the Eagles. The Eagles for this regular season through Week 15 were number 6 in the NFL in total defense in terms of DVOA. Regarding Laremy Tunsil, have we seen the last of him this season? You got to wonder. He's such an important player for the Commanders. He has had a really good season. He is a prime candidate for a big money contract extension this coming offseason. Commanders head coach Dan Quinn did a post-practice press conference on Thursday afternoon. The first exchange of the presser was this exchange between Commanders insider John Keim of ESPN and Quinn.
Laremy Tunsil's update status?
Yep. So Laremy has a strained oblique, and he will be out. Tried to go at practice yesterday and just not there yet, so we'll hopefully get him back for the following game, but not for this one.
Interesting that Dan Quinn made it sound like the plan, at least for now, is not to shut down Laremy Tunsil for the rest of the season. What exactly is the point of Tunsil playing again this season? He is a proven high-level left tackle. Why risk injury with him at all? And it would be good to see more of Brandon Coleman. Tunsil, in the win at the Giants, played on 48% of the Commanders' offensive snaps. Coleman filled in for Tunsil at left tackle, played on 56% of the Commanders' offensive snaps, and each guy played well. Tunsil for the game had an overall grade per Pro Football Focus of 77.2. That's good. PFF grades are on a scale of 0 to 100. 60 is average. Coleman for the game had an overall grade per Pro Football Focus of 76.9. A wild season for Brandon Coleman. The Commanders took him in the third round of the 2024 NFL Draft out of TCU. He spent much of last season as the Commanders' number 1 left tackle. He, for this season, was supposed to be their starting left guard, but he, after just 2 games in this regular season, got benched in favor of Chris Paul, and Coleman, at one point, was a healthy and active for each of 5 consecutive games. But he since then has mostly played well when called upon to fill in for Laremy Tunsil at left tackle or when used as an extra offensive lineman. Go back to the Commanders' 28-7 loss at the Kansas City Chiefs on Monday Night Football on October 27th. Laremy Tunsil played on just 25% of the team's offensive snaps. He left the game due to a hamstring injury, returned to the game, but then ultimately was out of the game for good. Brandon Coleman was active off having been a healthy inactive for each of the Commanders' previous 5 games. He went in at left tackle for Tunsil, played on 75% of the team's offensive snaps, and Coleman did well. He, for the game, had an overall grade per Pro Football Focus of 75.1, and now Coleman is set to be the Commander's starting left tackle for this game against the Eagles on Saturday evening. We, on Thursday afternoon, had this exchange between Commanders insider Nikki Zavala of The Athletic and Dan Quinn.
You had indicated earlier in the season that you wanted to see Brandon kind of take that next step.
Yep.
What did he show over these, however many weeks to do that?
Yeah, and that's the one spot we haven't been banged up on in that space. And so obviously disappointed when, Chris stepped in and stayed into that space. But then I also saw a guy working guard and tackle. He's been our jumbo, so there's some things like, hey, let's get him back in the fight, get him back into it. I saw good practice habits, number one. So I wasn't surprised, Nikki, that he performed well because this wasn't a guy that, put his head down and sulked about it. He said, okay, I'm going to go to work and get to it. So it's not always smooth, but I thought that showed a lot about his resilience to say, okay, yeah, these are not the circumstances that I want, but I'm going to go battle for it. And when called or if called, like he would show and demonstrate that he was ready. And some people bullshit themselves and say they won't or say they'll be ready, but like you have to put the work in to do that. And I've certainly seen that from BC.
Yeah, maybe hopefully this can end up being a much better season for Brandon Coleman than it appeared to be. I'm looking forward to seeing how he does on Saturday evening. More on Coleman. We on Thursday afternoon had this exchange between John Keim and Dan Quinn.
Brandon Coleman, you saw him at left tackle.
Yep.
You were working inside a guard.
Yes.
What can you see from there that maybe, and I know it's a different thing, but does that translate? Does what the success you see translate inside at all, and how do you measure that?
It does because of his size. And I think that's what we were looking forward to, John. Got banged up a little bit in camp and then in the early part of the season, but his quickness. And so you see him pull, you can see him trap. He's got quickness like a tackle, but the size and power as a guard. So I know it can transfer inside, but due to injury, that's where the move was made with Chris. And he's continuing to show the flex. It would be much harder for somebody who hasn't had tackle experience to go do this. It happens, but the fact that he can rely on that is better. We've done something unique this year with he and Andrew because both of them have tackle experience. We haven't done the traditional swing tackle where you play left and you play right. They play right guard and right tackle and left guard and left tackle. So his skills have mostly stayed on the left and Andrews have mostly stayed on the right. Can you guys picture what I'm saying? As opposed to like your traditional swing tackle plays the backup right tackle and the backup left. So I don't think we've had quite maybe a personnel or unique scenario where you can do that, but it's definitely like you're staying on the same side, working on the same skills, and so there's some advantage to that. And maybe after all these years of 8 linemen, there's a right, a left, a center, and so that's it.
The Commanders' starting offensive line for each of the team's last 8 games has been Laremy Tunsil at left tackle, Chris Paul at left guard, Tyler Biadasz at center, Samuel Cosmi at right guard, and Josh Connerly Jr. at right tackle. But that streak of 8 games will end on Saturday evening with Tunsil being out due to his oblique injury. But back for the Commanders' offense will be Chris Rodriguez Jr. He'll return from a 1-game absence caused by a groin injury. Running back Jacory Croskey-Merritt is coming off a good performance in the win at the Giants. 18 carries for 96 yards and a touchdown. No targets. Did have a second quarter fumble, but that was recovered by Josh Connerly for his second fumble recovery of the game. Croskey-Merritt played on 52% of the Commanders' offensive snaps. Should the Commanders go into next season with Chris Rodriguez and Jacory Croskey-Merritt as the team's top 2 running backs? Would that be a sensible, viable approach at running back for the 2026 season, or does the team need a lot more at running back? What if the Commanders, with where they're picking in the first round of the 2026 NFL Draft, can take Notre Dame running back Jeremiah Love, who appears to be a lock to be the RB1 of the draft? Should they take him? We on Thursday afternoon had this exchange between Commanders insider Ben Standig of Last Man Standing on Substack and Dan Quinn.
Dan, when you look at Bill and Chris back there in the backfield, not necessarily the combination that everybody thought would be leading the way along with Jeremy months ago, but when you look to what they can maybe be as a combination going forward, what does that kind of look like for you?
Yeah. I'm excited to see the continued development of Bill. There's probably a few guys offensively. It's Ben and Bill and some others that maybe Trey's not a rookie, but he's a younger player, but he's gaining it. But I like the combination of the two. They're different in size, Ben, but both of them have an aggressive style. And so they can break tackles, they can run through tackles. And so I think different running backs, man, this guy can get on the edge. He's got the speed to go, and you can be worried about that. But in between the tackles, for a guy who can gain yards after contact, I think they have it. They just do it a little bit differently. Chris runs a little lower naturally, but I think the ability to cut by Bill is some of the things that we've all seen together. And so take what's there against a team like this. They don't give up a lot of big plays, talking about Philadelphia. So in the running game, in the passing game, you have to be able to move the chains by taking what's there. It's not a team, hey, I'm going to try to cut out the back door and go get it. The linebackers are disciplined. The D-line's good. So it's going to be taking what's there, and if they can get to the next level, can they get a big play? But that's what I'm looking for in this game from them. But I like the combination. It'll be good to have Chris back for sure.
All right, so as we know, no Jaden Daniels for this game against the Eagles. Marcus Mariota will be the Commanders' starting quarterback for an 8th time in 15 games in this regular season. Josh Johnson will be the Commanders' number 2 quarterback for this game. And don't forget, Sam Hartman remains on the Commanders' practice squad. We on Thursday afternoon had this exchange between Ben Standig and Dan Quinn.
At quarterback, obviously with Jaden out, changes the depth chart. Is there a world where Sam Hartman gets active, even to be a backup, or maybe even plays somewhere here down the stretch?
Not at this moment where we're at. And so he's, like I said, reps change, where he's, getting some more, through the scout team. But he's done that pretty much through the year. So, but no, that's, like I said, we're leaning on Marcus.
I tell you, I got a kick out of that answer. Dan Quinn was quite quick to shut down any Sam Hartman talk. Sam Hartman has been on the practice squad for the entirety of this regular season, despite him having had an atrocious 2025 preseason. Your Sam Hartman stats for this past preseason: 3 games, a completion percentage of just 54.35, a yards per pass attempt of just 4.5, no touchdown passes versus 4 interceptions. He had maybe possibly the worst preseason that any Washington quarterback has ever had. Now, in fairness to Sam Hartman, he this past offseason underwent surgery on his right shoulder, his throwing shoulder. So perhaps he this past preseason was not totally healthy, but he did not look good. He also did not have a good training camp. And also on Saturday evening will be, we believe, the Commanders' debut of edge defender Drake Jackson. He is good to go. We on Thursday afternoon had this exchange between Candy Waller of Bowie TV Sports and Dan Quinn.
Drake Jackson has been full practice so far this week. Is there any update on him?
Yes. Yeah, Drake had a good week. Kind of got started last week. The individual piece, we were ramping up, hopefully, to look at this game as one for him to go. And, yeah, he'll be able to play.
So the Commanders on October 15th announced having signed Drake Jackson as an unrestricted free agent. This is his age 24 season. He was taken by the San Francisco 49ers in the second round of the 2022 NFL Draft at a USC. Commanders general manager Adam Peters was the Niners assistant GM when they drafted Jackson. Jackson suffered a torn patellar tendon in a knee in October 2023. His recovery has been slow and lengthy. The Commanders on October 16th, one day after signing him, announced having put him on the reserve/injured list in a reported pre-planned move. The Commanders on December 4th announced having activated him from the reserve/injured list, and now finally he can make his Commanders debut. This is a low-risk, potential high-reward acquisition by the Commanders. This guy was good enough to be a 2022 second-round pick. Hey, if you have a case, contact the Nace Law Group Accident and Injury Lawyers. If you feel that you've been wronged, if you think that you've been wronged but aren't sure, contact the Nace Law Group Accident and Injury Lawyers and mention that Al Galdi sent you. You could call 202-902-7611. You could also visit WashingtonDCInjuryLawyers.com and submit for a free, no-obligation case review. The Nace Law Group features compassionate lawyers and zealous advocates for its clients, led by the great Chris Nace and founded in 1979. The Nace Law Group is a Washington, D.C.-based family law firm that handles medical malpractice, personal injury, birth injury, legal malpractice, and consumer protection cases, offering aggressive advocacy for victims in Washington, D.C. and West Virginia. The Nace Law Group is outstanding. It will fight for you and your family. The Nace Law Group can help you and your family make difficult decisions. The Nace Law Group has recovered millions of dollars for the sick and injured. If you have a case, contact the Nace Law Group. Call 202-902-7611 or visit WashingtonDCInjuryLawyers.com and tell the Nace Law Group that Al Galdi sent you. That's 202-902-7611 or WashingtonDCInjuryLawyers.com, and make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you. The Nace Law Group, Accident and Injury Lawyers. So the 4-10 Washington Commanders are concluding their 2025 regular season by playing the 9-5 Philadelphia Eagles twice over the final 3 games. So home to the Eagles is Saturday evening at 5, and at the Eagles in Week 18, date and time to be announced. We actually had a similar scenario 4 years ago. The Washington football team in the 2021 regular season played the Eagles twice in 3 games over weeks 15 through 17. Washington lost each game, including a Tuesday night game, Tuesday night, December 21st, 2021, a 27-17 loss at the Eagles in a game for which Washington was without a bunch of players due to the team's COVID outbreak. Remember that. The game actually was postponed from its original day and time of Sunday, December 19th, 2021 at 1 p.m. A Washington starting quarterback for this game was Garrett Gilbert, and Washington's COVID outbreak actually helped to bring major change to the NFL's COVID policies because it was ridiculous how most, if not all, of the players who were testing positive for COVID felt totally fine and were asymptomatic but were not allowed to play. And then January 2nd, 2022, a 2016 loss to the Eagles at FedEx Field in a loss that officially eliminated Washington from playoff contention. Well, the Commanders for this season already have been eliminated from playoff contention. My friends, it is the time to rhyme. Rhyming keys for the Commanders in their game against the Eagles to do some good things, but lose, as we are in the midst of Operation Loseout 2.0. The Commanders, as things stand right now, have the number 8 overall pick in the 2026 NFL Draft. How likely, how possible is our team getting a top 5 pick in the draft? Well, not going to be easy. Each of the teams occupying spots 1 through 9 in the draft has no more than 4 wins. Each of the teams occupying spots 1 through 6 in the draft has no more than 3 wins. And so these rhyming keys now take on increased importance. Now, these rhymes, they are not meant to be good, and they are not good. They are only meant to make a few points. In fact, we have a saying for this segment, indeed a rhyme for this segment. The saying is counterintuitive, but trust me, the saying is true. The worse the rhyme, the better the time. And so let's have a good time. Here we go. Hardcore analysis combined with scheduled fun, rhyming keys for the Commanders in their game against the Eagles to do some good things, but lose. Rhyming key number 1, this is for the Commanders' run defense. You have been better, but you're still not fixed. So give some stuff up, just not as much as January 26th. Hey, I told you, these rhymes, they are not good. I right now care so much more about the Commanders' offense than I do the defense. The defense is poised to undergo big-time change this coming offseason. So when it comes to rhyming keys for the Commanders in their game against the Eagles to do some good things but lose, I am focusing on the defense doing the bad things. This game will be game number 5 for the Commanders, with head coach Dan Quinn serving as defensive coordinator, off him on November 10th, having announced having demoted Joe Witt Jr. and having taken over as defensive coordinator. The defense under Quinn has been better, but the opposing offenses with Quinn running the defense have been a lot less imposing as compared to the murderer's row of offenses that the team faced over Witt's final 4 games as defensive coordinator. So here we have Eagles running back Saquon Barkley. He this season has not been close to the player he was last season. Barkley for the 2024 regular season was one of 5 finalists for Associated Press NFL MVP. Barkley for this regular season through week 15 was, you ready for this? Number 44 out of 50 qualified players in the NFL per Pro Football Reference in rushing success rate, 44.2. Number 44 out of 50. Barkley last season destroyed our team. The peak of the destruction came in the Commanders' 55-23 loss at the Eagles in the NFC Championship game this past January 26th. The Commanders in that game allowed running backs Saquon Barkley, Will Shipley, and Kenneth Gainwell, and tight end Dallas Goedert to combine for 24 carries for 216 yards and 4 touchdowns. The Commanders in that game allowed the Eagles to total 7 rushing touchdowns. The Eagles' 7 rushing touchdowns are tied for the most rushing touchdowns by a team in a playoff game in NFL history. And the tie is with the 1940 Chicago Bears, who had 7 rushing touchdowns in a 73-0 win at the Washington Redskins at Griffith Stadium in Washington, D.C. in the NFL Championship game on December 8th, 1940. I don't want to see the Commanders' run defense get embarrassed like it was in the NFC Championship game, but it wouldn't be so bad if the Commanders gave up some stuff to Saquon Barkley. Although, again, he this season is not the same player he was last season. We see this with running backs all of the time. A back follows a great season with a not-so-great season. But rhyming key number 1, this for the Commanders' run defense. You have been better, but you're still not fixed. So give some stuff up, just not as much as January 26th. Rhyming keys for the Commanders in their game against the Eagles to do some good things, but lose. Rhyming key number 2, this is for the Commanders' pass defense. Allow Hurts to be good in spurts. Again, the idea here is I don't want to see the defense get shredded. but giving some stuff up would not be so bad. The Eagles, Jalen Hurts, he liked the Eagles as a team, is having an up-and-down season. Hurts for this regular season through Week 15 was number 18 out of 33 qualified NFL quarterbacks, and ESPN's total QBR 54.6. But Jalen Hurts has a history of, shall we say, picking apart Washington. Hurts over 9 career regular season games against Washington, record of 6-3, 12 touchdown passes versus 3 interceptions, yards per pass attempt of 8.2, 6 rushing touchdowns. I want to see key young Commanders defensive players like cornerback Mikey Sainristil and safety Quan Martin do well, but I don't care as much about veterans who may not be on the team next season. And so rhyming key number 2, this for the Commanders' pass defense, allow Hurts to be good in spurts. Rhyming keys for the Commanders in their game against the Eagles to do some good things, but lose. Rhyming key number 3, this is for Commanders offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury. Be slick against Vic. That would be the Eagles defensive coordinator, Vic Fangio. Mixed results for Kingsbury against Fangio last season. Kingsbury in the Commanders' 26-18 loss at the Eagles on Thursday Night Football on November 14th, 2024, got outcoached by Fangio. Kingsbury in the Commanders' 36-33 win over the Eagles at Northwest Stadium on December 22nd, 2024, got the better of Fangio. If you remember that game, the Commanders with the win snapped the Eagles' 10-game winning streak. The Commanders in the game overcame a 27-14 fourth quarter deficit. They won the fourth quarter 22-6. But then, yes, we had the NFC Championship game this past January 26th, a 55-23 loss for the Commanders at the Eagles. The Eagles, for this regular season through Week 15, were number 6 in the NFL in total defense in terms of expected points added per play per RBSDM.com. Will Cliff Kingsbury have adequate answers for the pressure brought by Vic Fangio's defense? How will the Commanders' offensive line perform against the Eagles' defensive front? Big questions for this game. Vic Fangio, he was the Denver Broncos head coach for the 2019 through 2021 seasons. We saw Cliff Kingsbury scheme things up quite well in the Commanders' game against the Broncos, right? The 27-26 overtime loss to the Broncos at Northwest Stadium on Sunday Night Football on November 30th. The offense in that game did some really good things against an elite Broncos defense. So let's see the Commanders offense in this game against the Eagles again do well against a high-level defense. Let's see quarterback Marcus Mariota aggressively throw downfield as he did in the 29-21 win at the New York Giants this past Sunday afternoon. Let's see running backs Jacory Croskey-Merritt and Chris Rodriguez Jr. combine for over 100 rushing yards. So Rodriguez will be back from a one-game absence caused by a groin injury. By the way, Croskey-Merritt, our guy Bill, he, for this regular season through Week 15, was number 5 out of 50 qualified players in the NFL per Pro Football Reference in rushing success rate, 58, quite a bit better than our friend Saquon. And so rhyming key number 3, this for Commanders offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury, be slick against Vic. All right, it is prediction time. The consensus line per Action Network for this game as a Thursday afternoon was Commanders +7. It would not surprise me at all if this game is close, or even if the Commanders win. The Eagles are an odd team. At times, the Eagles look great. At times, the Eagles look bad. I actually do think the Commanders at least keep the game close. Give me the Commanders +7. Final score, Eagles 28, Commanders 24. A solid performance, but a loss. Exactly what we're looking for in Operation Loseout 2.0. All right, Nova Fireplace and Stove. It is Northern Virginia's go-to expert for fireplaces. Transform the look and feel of your home and increase its value by visiting Nova Fireplace and Stove in Woodbridge, Virginia, or by visiting NovaFireplaceandStove.com, and make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you for $25 off any service. Come in and see Nova Fireplace and Stove's stunning displays, including custom fireplace glass doors and stone refacing options that can completely transform the look of your fireplace from sleek and modern to rustic and cozy. Nova Fireplace and Stove has something for every style, and here's what else Nova Fireplace and Stove offers: gas fireplace service and repair, chimney cleaning and brickwork repair, generator installation, panel replacements and water heater repairs, smoke detectors, security lights, and more. Nova Fireplace and Stove is a family-owned, fully licensed and insured company with over-the-top credentials, a gas and electrical master's licenses, a Class A contractor's license, and a long list of 5-star reviews to back all of this up. Every job includes a free in-home estimate, and for listeners of the Al Galdi podcast, Nova Fireplace and Stove is offering $25 off any service. Just mention this ad. Nova Fireplace and Stove only works in Northern Virginia and thus knows the homes, the codes, and the people. Your satisfaction is 100% guaranteed. That's Nova Fireplace and Stove in Woodbridge, Virginia, or NovaFireplaceandStove.com, and make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you for $25 off any service. The college football playoff for the FBS's 2025 season begins this weekend with 4 first-round games, the last of which is number 12-seeded James Madison at number 5-seeded Oregon this Saturday night at 7:30. James Madison University of Harrisonburg, Virginia. What a last few years for JMU. James Madison made a tremendous transition from the football championship subdivision, the FCS, to the football bowl subdivision, the FBS, going 19-4 over the 2022 and 2023 regular seasons. JMU finished atop the Sun Belt Conference East Division standings in both the years with a combined 13-3 conference record, and the Dukes received a bid to the 2023 Lockheed Martin Armed Forces Bowl for the program's first bowl in program history. All of this happened with Curt Cignetti as head coach, but he was named the head coach of Indiana University on November 30th, 2023. James Madison on December 7th, 2023, announced the hiring of Bob Chesney as head coach. He had spent the previous 6 seasons as the head coach for Holy Cross. JMU in the 2024 season went 9-4 overall, including 4-4 in the Sun Belt Conference. So the Dukes notched a 27-17 win over Western Kentucky in the Boca Raton Bowl at FAU Stadium in Boca Raton, Florida on December 18th, 2024. And JMU this season is 12-1 overall, including 9-0 in the Sun Belt Conference, and included in that is a 31-14 win over Troy at Bridgeport Stadium in Harrisonburg, Virginia, in the 2025 Sun Belt Conference Championship game on December 5th. But things are not so simple for JMU right now. It on December 6th announced the hiring of Billy Napier as head coach and announced the departure of head coach Bob Chesney to become UCLA's head coach. However, Chesney is serving as JMU's head coach for the college football playoff. A lot to take in with James Madison right now. It is a pleasure to welcome to the Al Galdi podcast, Jack Fitzpatrick. He is a co-host of the JMU Sports News Podcast. He is a co-creator of the very popular X account at JMU Sports News, which is both informative and hilarious. He went to James Madison, graduated in May 2019, and he is the host of Fitz the Bill, weekday mornings 8 to 10 on ESPN Richmond. Hey, Jack, how are you?
Doing fantastic. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm excited to talk some JMU football and the college football playoff.
Yeah, nice to have you on. What you have going on with the X account at JMU Sports News is terrific. Awesome content. Smart, funny, self-deprecating, entertaining. What is the philosophy with at JMU Sports News on X?
Yeah, so we started back in 2018. Bennett, the co-founder, he had just recently graduated from JMU. I graduated in 2019, so it was my senior year when we decided to start it. And he reached out to me and he was like, hey, man, I don't really have an outlet to cover JMU sports. He was working at like business.com or something at the time. And he reaches out to me and he goes, do you want to start this thing where we just talk about JMU sports on our own like blog newsletter thing? Because at the time, newsletters were becoming a really big thing. And so we just started it, ended up creating a podcast. And 8 years later now, we've kind of really developed into what our voice is. And we describe ourselves as fanalists. We love analyzing the game. I'm a big fan of nerd numbers. Give me, EPA, expected points added, success rate, all of the really nerdy stuff. I love that. So I'm going to come to the podcast, to our Twitter with those types of numbers. Bennett also, he covered UVA as a beat writer, so he has the beat writer background in him as well. And we try to bring it from that perspective. But at the same time, we understand we are alums. We are fans at the end of the day. So everything that we see is going to be, at least through maybe a darker shade than others, maybe a lighter shade at time, but it's going to be purple colored glasses, right? So we have that fan side of it. And so we call ourselves fanalists, and we've just developed kind of I guess what you call brand voice over the last 8 years, where we try to have fun with it. It's college football. It's college sports. We're not here to take ourselves too seriously. We're here to cover a fun football team, and we're here to talk about it with other college football fans and give some fun information, but also at the same time, try to make a couple people laugh throughout the day.
Hey, man, nothing wrong with that. So I don't know that any James Madison fan or observer would have ever said that he or she expected JMU to make the college football playoff this season. But given the great success of JMU in recent years, is it necessarily shocking that JMU has made the playoff this season?
That's a really good question. It's a tough question to answer, because when you're living life as a G5, right, it's a difficult life to live. Because coming into the year, I was saying on every podcast, anywhere that would let me talk, right, I was saying JMU should win the Sun Belt. This is a Sun Belt East champion caliber team. They should win the Sun Belt. And lo and behold, they did. But as a G5 team, you're like, all right, well, the best we can do is win a Sun Belt title. And then you just got to do your Hail Marys every night and hope everything falls where it may. Like, you're just hoping that the rest of the G5 isn't as good as you, and all of this crazy stuff happens. And as the season went on, it was very evident that the AAC was going to have the best G5 team. So kind of then, probably mid-season, maybe a little past mid-season, Bennett had identified Duke as a potential team to what he called the chaos scenario in the ACC. I think that became a pretty common thing to call it. But the chaos scenario where he said, Duke could do this, and this, and due to the weird ACC tiebreaker rules, there could be 2 G5s in. And so that's when they kind of became more real as the season went on, where it was like, Duke may actually do the frickin' thing. They ended up doing it, and 2 G5s got in. But I mean, as a G5 fan, in my shoes, right, I never went into the season being like college football playoff or bust. It's always Sun Belt title or bust, and then pray to God that the stars align and you're able to be the highest ranked G5 team. And just so happens that 2 G5 teams made it this year.
James Madison's head coaching situation for the college football playoff. Odd scenario, but so much of college football these days is odd. What do you think about Bob Chesney, who now is UCLA's head coach, still serving as JMU head coach for the playoff?
I like it. I think it's fine. I was also in the camp with Lane Kiffin and the LSU Ole Miss thing. I would have liked Lane Kiffin to continue coaching at Ole Miss, so I'm fine. Let a coach finish out his tenure, finish out the job that he started. He got hired because of this team, so let him coach out this season. And people are saying, oh, this is just going to be one big recruiting pitch for Bob Chesney to try and poach some players over to UCLA. He doesn't need the extra week. He can dangle Westwood in front of him. He can dangle him a couple $1 million in front of him. He could have done that from LA. He could do that in Harrisonburg. I don't think he's doing it. He's handled his departures from everywhere that he has gone. Holy Cross, he handled it really well going to JMU. Now he seems to be handling it very well going from JMU to UCLA. I'm all for him coaching in the bowl game. Give him one last hoorah, maybe 2 or 3 more hoorahs, depending on how it all breaks. But let's be real, one last hoorah and can kind of go out into the sunset that way.
Is there, in fact, the expectation that there is going to be a mass exodus of James Madison players to UCLA via the NCAA transfer portal?
I don't think it's as expected as Indiana was. JMU's in a very different spot than it was 2 years ago, even. The way college sports, you mentioned earlier, the landscape's changing by the second. But JMU now, I believe, has a larger NIL war chest. Indiana had so much money. I think reports just came out that they spent the most money on their football program among all schools in the P4. But so Indiana's got a lot of money. They had the Big Ten draw. Bloomington, 3-4 hour flight away from Harrisonburg, Virginia, from the Virginia area. Not as much of an ask. I think the jump to go to UCLA, JMU's got more money to try and keep some of the players. And I think it's a bigger ask to ask a player who's grown up in Richmond, Virginia, Northern Virginia, the 7-5, anything like that. I think it's a bigger ask to ask those kids, do you want to uproot your family, yourself, go across the country? And for your parents who may have been able to watch you in every single game your entire career, they may not be able to anymore. So I don't think there will be as big of an exodus, but I'm not naive. I understand there's probably going to be the departure of a lot of high-end, high-caliber talent players that will likely go to UCLA. But I just don't think it'll be as big as Indiana.
How are things working with Billy Napier right now? Like, are both he and Bob Chesney at the team facility at the same time? Are they sharing an office? Are they hanging out? What are the logistics here?
From everything that has been reported and what it seems like from the videos JMU's been putting out and everything, Napier's there. He's getting ready. He's doing his stuff in terms of preparation for 2026, identifying transfer portal targets, probably holding interviews or exit interviews, entry interviews, whatever you call them, with the current players, current staff, administration, everything like that. But JMU just posted a video the other day or two where Chesney and Napier are like dapping each other up on the sidelines, and Napier's like watching practice. So I think they're just both kind of coexisting. And Napier's just kind of around, and it makes for a really weird dynamic. But hey, if it works for them, who am I to judge?
Absolutely. We're talking with Jack Fitzpatrick, co-host of the JMU Sports News Podcast and co-creator of the very popular X account at JMU Sports News. We have number 12 seeded James Madison at number 5 seeded Oregon on Saturday night at 7:30 in the first round of the college football playoff. I do like James Madison having hired Billy Napier as head coach. Napier was the head coach for the University of Florida November 28th, 2021 to this past October 19th. He, as Florida head coach, went just 22-23 overall, including just 12-16 in the SEC. But Napier was the head coach for the University of Louisiana Lafayette December 15th, 2017 to November 28th, 2021. He, as Louisiana head coach, went 40-12 overall, and he made the Sun Belt Conference Championship game in each of his 4 seasons as Louisiana head coach. So this is a guy who has shown that he can dominate the Sun Belt, and because he had a failed run as Florida head coach, would seem unlikely to leave after just, say, 2 seasons as JMU head coach like Bob Chesney, even if things for Napier as JMU head coach go really well. But what do you think about JMU hiring Billy Napier as head coach?
I think it's a really solid hire. When it first happened, I'll be 100% honest. I was like, do we really want a failed head coach? Like, I feel like JMU's been so good at getting these up-and-coming guys. But then I took some time and kind of let the emotions simmer down. See, the fanalist coming out in me, the fan in me is like, I don't want a failed head coach. What do you mean? But then the analyst side of it is, he was uber successful at Louisiana. The dude can just flat out recruit. And his one undoing was he refused to hire an offensive coordinator that would call plays. Well, it appears that he is hiring an offensive coordinator that's going to call plays for him this next season at JMU. I think it was overall a really solid hire. I don't think he's going to retire at JMU, but kind of like you said, it's going to take a couple of years to get the stench of Florida off of him. And, oh, by the way, shout out to his agent, because Billy Napier's agent worked in language where there's no offset clause in the buyout. So he's getting paid $2.5 million every year until 2029 from Florida to not coach the Gators. And, oh, by the way, he got $10.5 million, something along those lines, straight up from Florida when he got fired. So the dude's not necessarily going to jump at the first big paycheck that's offered to him. I think it sets up really well for JMU to have some stability over 3 to 5 years with Billy Napier.
You, like me, like advanced stats. James Madison for this season is number 20 in the FBS in defensive efficiency per ESPN. James Madison for this season also is number 5 in the FBS in rushing yards per game, 245.8. What is the most impressive aspect of this JMU team, the defense or the rushing offense?
It's got to be the defense, and it's being done under a first-year defensive coordinator, or I guess let me rephrase that. First year in Harrisonburg, Colin Hitchler was under Luke Fickell for a really long time between Cincy and Wisconsin. He was then Kalen DeBoer's co-defensive coordinator last year at Alabama. They had 3 co-defensive coordinators, too many cooks in the kitchen. One of them gets outed, and that happened to be Hitchler, who lands on his feet in Harrisonburg. And what he has been able to create with that defense in Harrisonburg has been utterly fantastic. They're throwing exotic blitzes. They're throwing things. There was a coach, I forget which one it was, but during one of the Sun Belt conference calls throughout this season, said something along the lines of like, Yeah, Hitchler and that JMU defense are doing things that you should not see in the Sun Belt on Saturdays, kind of referring to this guy's doing things that you may see on Sundays or you may see at the power conference level. He's doing it with JMU, and I mean, the players they have on the defensive side of the ball are all extremely impressive. So just the ability to hold opponents to negative net yardage, doing that in the Sun Belt Championship, doing that in a quote-unquote rivalry game against App State, where you hold them to so little yardage, you outgain them by like 500 yards on offense. What that defense has been able to do, the sheer dominance they have, that's been by far the most impressive thing from the Dukes this season.
James Madison's QB1, Alonzo Barnett III, there are games in which he looks great. There are games in which he looks not so great. Is he or isn't he a good quarterback?
Yes. like he's a great quarterback, but he also is a very volatile quarterback. His highs are as high as anyone has seen. The UNC game from a year ago, the ODU game this year, he was so good. But then you get games like Georgia State, where he throws for 75 yards. You get the Troy game, where I believe he threw for less than 100 yards. You get such low moments from him. But at times you could argue that maybe it's the offensive play calling from Dean Kennedy, who is going to UCLA. When that news was announced, JMU fans rejoiced. So take that what you will with the terms of Dean Kennedy going to UCLA. I think at times this offense just seemingly gets in its own way. And that's going to be something to watch out for in Eugene, Oregon, because if the offense gets in its own way, there's no way they're winning. But if they can find any sort of offensive rhythm like they had against ODU, they had about a month stretch where they were one of the most potent offenses in the Sun Belt. If they can do that, then there's high ceiling for JMU and Eugene. But yeah, Alonzo, really good quarterback. You don't win the Bill Dudley Award for nothing. You don't get named Sun Belt Player of the Year for nothing. But at the same time, you're right. The lows are there. I would say overall, though, he's an above average quarterback who does enough to win on a weekly basis.
All right, so with this game for James Madison in Oregon, we all get what is supposed to happen. But if the unthinkable happened, if JMU pulled off the upset, how did it happen? What is a realistic blueprint for JMU shocking the world and winning at Oregon on Saturday night?
Muck it up. Like, you've got to hope. There was, I think it was the Iowa game, maybe it was the Wisconsin game earlier, Oregon played, and it was a close game, and it was because it was in an absolute monsoon. You got to hope maybe something like that happens, and JMU's rushing attack can find a rhythm, and you can just drain clock. You've got to just, and not to sound like a coach, but you've got to dominate time of possession, and you've got to win the trenches, and it's going to be so hard to do against an Oregon team that is the fifth best team in the nation. Like, I don't think there's an argument there. They have one loss, and it came against Indiana, the Big Ten champs, the number one team. Like, Oregon is a darn good football team. So for JMU, you just got to dominate time of possession. You've got to hope Wayne Knight has a career night. You've got to hope some of your bruising backs like Jordan Fuller and Joby Mallory can find some sort of rhythm and they can get to 5-6 yards a carry. And then you've just got to take care of the football and hope Alonzo is able to hit an explosive play or two. And defensively, you've got to hope Dante Moore has the case of the fumbles, has the case of the interceptions. You're able to generate a couple of turnovers and capitalize on those. It's going to be very, very tough for JMU. I don't think it's out of the question that they win, but if you're into betting and it's a 21.5 point line, that feels about right.
Final question. Given how well the James Madison football program is doing, do you think that JMU's long-term future is in the Sun Belt Conference? Could JMU be headed for a Power 4 conference at some point in the near future?
They would need to garner more, I think, donation support. I think they would need to find a way to raise their overall athletic budget. And I just, yes and no. Like, the end goal for JMU is to make it to a P4 conference. And the year 2030, when all of these, media rights deals are up for renegotiation, that might be the prime time. But then you've got to ask yourself, if you're JMU, heck, if you're a JMU fan, it's a question I ask myself all the time. If the ACC gets pillaged, right, and there's no more Virginia Tech, there's no more UVA, Clemson's gone, Florida State's gone, do you really want to enter a plucked over ACC over a Sun Belt conference that got you into the playoff? If you have another good year next year, might be able to set you up for another college football playoff appearance? I think JMU's end goal is the ACC. It is a power conference. You just got to see how the next couple of years play out. They've got to get some more money into their athletic department because the gap between them and even a Virginia Tech right now is just huge. So you've got to figure all of that out. But hey, that's not for me to decide. I know that they're trying to find a way to get to the P4 in the next couple of years.
Interesting. Great stuff. Jack Fitzpatrick, co-host of the JMU Sports News Podcast and co-creator of the very popular X account at JMU Sports News. Jack, thanks, and good luck on Saturday night.
Thank you so much.
All right, a Goldilocks pick for you for this game. The consensus line per Action Network as of Thursday afternoon was JMU plus 20.5. I do not have a great feeling about this game for James Madison. Give me Oregon minus 20.5. But regardless of what happens, what a season for James Madison.
Marriott Bonvoy is the official hotel partner of US Soccer. Join Marriott Bonvoy today to get closer to the game with exclusive perks, unforgettable experiences, and benefits that go beyond the pitch. Spring Hill Suites, part of Marriott Bonvoy, offers complimentary hot breakfast and spacious all-suite accommodations, perfect for the whole team, with room for up to 6 guests. Make your next getaway a win. Learn more at springhillsuites.marriott.com.
This is Michael Rosenbaum. Hey, folks, let me tell you that drinking and driving is a decision that will change your whole world. Things will never be the same once you get a DUI, because legal fees and time in court are just the beginning. Getting into a crash is another way your world could be irreversibly changed after drinking and driving. Your vehicle may not be the only thing that gets damaged in that crash. You could face a life-altering injury or even death. But you're not the only one who could face those consequences. Your decision to drink and drive could permanently change someone else's world, whether you injure them or leave their loved ones grieving. The next time you're out drinking, call a rideshare, a taxi, a sober friend, or a designated sober driver. Always plan for a safe ride home. The only decision that will change your world for the better is the decision to call for a sober ride. It's never worth it to drive drunk. Don't risk it. Drive sober or get pulled over. Paid for by NHTSA.
A good win for the Washington Capitals off an 0-2-0 road trip on which the Caps got outscored 10-1. Thursday night, a 4-0 win over the Toronto Maple Leafs at Capital One Arena. The Caps in the NHL's 2025-2026 regular season now are 19-11-4, good for 42 points, second most points in the Eastern Conference, and the Caps have the best goal differential in the Eastern Conference, plus 22. The Caps may have the best goaltender in the Eastern Conference given the season that he's having. Logan Thompson, he on Thursday night pitched a shutout, stopped all 22 of the shots on goal that he faced, including all 18 of the shots on goal that he faced over the final 2 periods. Thompson now, for this regular season, 24 games, all starts, goals against average of 2, save percentage of .925. The Caps went 5 for 5 on the penalty kill. They won the puck possession battle. The Caps had 29 shots on goal to the Maple Leafs 22, and per natural stat trick had 48 5-on-5 shot attempts to the Maple Leafs 32, including 8 5-on-5 high danger shot attempts to the Maple Leafs 4. More offense from Caps defenseman. Defenseman Jacob Chychrun scored 2 goals, giving him 14 goals in this regular season. He scored an even strength goal 16-16 into the first period and scored an even strength goal 4-02 into the third period. Did commit a game worst 6 giveaways. That is a sky-high total of giveaways in a game 6. And defenseman John Carlson, he scored an even strength goal 8:57 into the third period for his 7th goal in this regular season. And he had 2 assists, giving him 20 assists in this regular season. And Carlson was number 3 on the Caps in 5-on-5 shot attempt percentage for the game per natural stat trick at 78.57. The Caps with Carlson on the ice in 5-on-5 situations in the game had 22 shot attempts versus allowing just 6 shot attempts. So the Caps, as of the end of this game, were number 1 in the NHL in goals by defensemen in this regular season, 27. The Caps' other goal in this game came from second-line left wing Alexi Protas. He scored an even-strength goal, 13:53 into the first period for his 11th goal in this regular season. Did commit 2 minor penalties, but he was number 4 on the Caps in 5-on-5 shot attempt percentage for the game per natural stat trick at 76.19. The Caps with Protas on the ice in 5-on-5 situations in the game had 16 shot attempts versus allowing just 5 shot attempts. Caps top line left wing Alex Ovechkin, no points, but he did have a game high 9 total shot attempts, including 4 shots on goal. The Caps did go 0 for 3 on the power play. The Caps beat the Maple Leafs 4-0 despite forward Hendrix Lapierre not playing due to illness and despite having 2 key players on injured reserve in winger Ryan Leonard and center Pierre-Luc Dubois. The Caps' healthy scratches for this game were defensemen Trevor Van Riemsdyk and Dylan McIlrath. A nice win for the Caps. So the post-game press conference of Caps head coach Spencer Carberry on Thursday night began with this exchange between Caps insider Tarek El-Bashir of Monumental Sports Network and Carberry.
Carbs, LT just called that the best game of the season for you guys. Would you agree? And how important was it to have a performance like that after the last 2 games?
Yeah, I think there's a strong case you could make for that, especially in all areas. Like I would include both special teams in that too. Penalty kill did a great job tonight. Power play I thought was phenomenal, even though they don't get rewarded. They were all over it. Did a really good job. So yeah, if you go through, I think we can make a strong case for that. In the spot as well as we hadn't played great over the last week. You could feel just weren't happy with the way things went on that road trip and even the way the Carolina game ends and that. So it was credit to our guys. They responded tonight. You could tell early on, even before the game, there was a real sharpness and focus to the group in their preparation. And doesn't mean you're always going to win, but you can usually tell our team in these spots, and our leadership does a real good job of it, is they're dialed in and ready when puck drops.
All right, next up for the Caps is a home-and-home with the Detroit Red Wings on back-to-back days this weekend. Home to the Red Wings on Saturday afternoon at 12:30 and at the Red Wings on Sunday afternoon at 1. Well, our rebuilding and tanking Washington Wizards, they on Thursday night got back 2 key players, but lost by 25 points. A 119-94 loss at the San Antonio Spurs. The Wizards in the NBA's 2025-2026 regular season now are 4-21, worst record in the NBA. Back for our Wizards were Bilal Coulibaly and Alex Sarr. Bilal Coulibaly, he returned from a 4-game absence caused by a strained right oblique. He suffered that in the Wizards' 121-102 loss at the Philadelphia 76ers on December 2nd. Coulibaly on Thursday night in 22 minutes, 34 seconds as a starter, went just 1 for 7 from the field, 0 for 4 on threes, just 1 for 3 on twos. He also went 1 for 2 on free throws, finished with just 3 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists versus 3 turnovers. He's not having a good offensive season. Alex Sarr, he returned from a 6-game absence caused by a right adductor strain. He in just 24:04 as a starter, went 2 for 4 on threes and had 18 points and 3 assists versus no turnovers. Did go just 6 for 14 on twos, had no free throw attempts, and had just 4 rebounds. So the Wizards remain without Corey Kispert and Chris Middleton. Kispert did not play for an 8th consecutive game due to a right thumb injury. Middleton did not play for a 4th consecutive game due to a right knee contusion. Also, Kim Whitmore was a DNP-CD for a 4th consecutive game. He had a 4th quarter in which the Wizards were down by 26 points, did not play at all. Man, is he being buried right now by Wizards head coach Brian Keefe. The Wizards overcame a 9-point first quarter deficit, but trailed by at least 15 points for all of the fourth quarter. Was good to see Bub Carrington have another game in which he did some good things off his bad start to this season. 33-09 as a starter, 15 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists versus 2 turnovers. So did have a game worst plus-minus rating of -24, but he went 3 for 7 on threes and 3 for 5 on twos. Did not attempt a free throw. Next up for the Wizards are games on back-to-back nights this weekend at the Memphis Grizzlies, Saturday night at 8, and home to the San Antonio Spurs, Sunday night at 7. And that'll do it for you and me for now. Keep the feedback coming. You can hit me up on X at Al Galdi. You can email me the Al Galdi podcast at yahoo.com. Monday show, episode 1223. We'll have a lot for you on the Washington Commanders. In-depth reaction to and analysis of their game against the Philadelphia Eagles at Northwest Stadium on Saturday evening at 5. Also on Monday show, I'll discuss James Madison football, the Washington Capitals, the Washington Wizards, and college basketball. We have number 12 seeded James Madison at number 5 seeded Oregon on Saturday night at 7:30 in the first round of the college football playoff. The Caps have 2 games this weekend, home to the Detroit Red Wings on Saturday afternoon at 12:30 and at the Red Wings on Sunday afternoon at 1. The Wizards have 2 games this weekend at the Memphis Grizzlies on Saturday night at 8 and home to the San Antonio Spurs on Sunday night at 7. And college basketball this weekend includes Maryland at number 23 Virginia Saturday evening at 6, Georgetown home to Xavier Saturday night at 8:30, and Virginia Tech home to Elon Saturday afternoon at 2. Have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you on Monday.
We have a unique opportunity to be able to finish these games in our division with a sense of some sense of accomplishment. You know, the ultimate goal is out of reach, but doesn't mean we can't leave with something. So as Denzel Washington said in that meme, I'm leaving here with something.
Marriott Bonvoy is the official hotel partner of US Soccer. Join Marriott Bonvoy today to get closer to the game with exclusive perks, unforgettable experiences, and benefits that go beyond the pitch. Spring Hill Suites, part of Marriott Bonvoy, offers complimentary hot breakfast and spacious all-suite accommodations, perfect for the whole team, with room for up to 6 guests. Make your next getaway a win. Learn more at springhillsuites.marriott.com.